Hello and welcome to NCBI Labs.
So you're very welcome to our 60th live event. It's the final show of the year, which is hard to believe, and we've got plenty lined up for you. Hopefully you're wrapped up inside somewhere. You're very safe from the storm. It seems to be quite quiet, unrealistically quiet. Slightly surreally quiet where we are at the moment. So I think we're in store for it a little bit later. Hopefully you're safe wherever you are listening to our live event this afternoon. So we have plenty on the show for you to enjoy today, including some of the team's live events highlights from 2021. But before we get into that, who are representing NCBI on the show today? Well, back with us this week after a brief but memorable absence, we have JP Corcoran. Welcome back, JP.
Oh, thanks very much, Jude. It's great to be back with you today. Yes, it was
I'm sure you missed
busy. I did miss it. It was a busy couple of weeks, Jude. Two weeks ago, I was in Hollis Street now, seeing, deliver a little baby, and now I'm back in the live event. So it's great to be back here.
Oh, and very good.
Not as sleep deprived as I thought, Jude.
Not as much as you thought, but you didn't say not sleep deprived. So we'll probably expect to see how that plays out through the live event. Well, good to have you back anyway, JP.
Thank you.
Also on the panel this week, someone whose value increases with every passing gust of wind. NCBI's very own weather volunteer is having a field day today. It's Daniel Dunn. Has the storm hit there yet, Daniel?
Well, she's blowing quite harsh here in the South Midlands, Jude. So I'm presuming you're over on the west coast. You're in the eye of the storm, I believe.
That's it. Yeah, it's actually really calm outside, really quiet. So it feels like the eye of the storm. Yeah.
What was that film with George Clooney where they're on the boat off North America and they come in and all is calm for a second. Next thing the wind just turns the other way and all hell breaks
Perfect
loose.
Storm or something, is it?
Perfect Storm.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. That feels like what it's like over here, and it's a good metaphor for the show in a way. It's like we're in the eye of the storm for the show here. So hopefully it goes nice and smoothly through the rest of the show. But good to have you with us as well, Daniel. And finally, from the NCBI team this week, regular guest Joe Lonergan is back with us again. So how could we do a highlights of 2021 segment without bringing back our most regular guest? Good to have you with us, Joe.
Thanks, Jude. Good afternoon.
Good to have you with us, and we'll chat to you as we go through the show as well. Now, as we said, we're going to be talking about some of the highlights of the live events this year, and we'll be talking about that in the last part of the show. But what else do we have for you today? Well, one of the phones that's really made a big impression in recent times is the Blind Shell phone, the Blind Shell Classic. And today we're going to be talking about the successor to that phone, the Blind Shell Classic 2. So what's different with the Blind Shell Classic 2? Well, stay with us and we'll be talking about that shortly. We'll also be looking at another in the range of smartphone scanner apps. We've previously talked about Seeing AI and Google Lookout. Well, today we're going to be talking about SuperSense AI. Does that offer anything different? Well, that'll be coming up a little bit later on as well. And we're going to have a regular tech help coming up later on too. So plenty to look forward to on the show today. Just a reminder of how you can get in touch if you have any questions or comments throughout the show. Two main options. You can contact us by using the question panel on Teams or email us at labs@ncbi.ie. And actually, you might want to take particular note of how to contact us because we have a competition today. Obviously, we appreciate everybody who listens into the show, however you manage to do that. But today we want to show our appreciation particularly to those who have regularly listened in live to the show. So we want to give you an exclusive chance to win a prize today. If you want to be in with a chance to win the Amazon Echo Dot, all you have to do is send us your name in the question and answer panel on Microsoft Teams or email us at labs@ncbi.ie before the end of today's show, and we'll announce the winner later on. So that's exclusively open to our live event, live listeners, if you like. Very good. So that's what we've got going on for today. And we'll move straight into it. And we'll talk about our first subject. We're going to talk about the Blind Shell Classic 2. And as we said, we're going to be talking a bit about the features that are different to in the Blind Shell Classic 2. To help us out with this, I'm delighted to introduce, and I apologize in advance if I get the names, if I butcher the pronunciation of the names. I feel like I should let you get a preemptive strike in and allow you to butcher my name in advance, but I'll try this out and hopefully this is okay. I think we have Philip Hrdlicka with us. I'm not sure if we have Christina with us at the moment, but hopefully we might end up getting her with us a little bit later on. But if not, I think we do have Philip with us. So Philip, you're on mute at the moment. If you want to unmute, you can use the *6 on your phone if you're joining us by phone, I think. So I think I think we're not getting you unmuted at the moment, Philip. So *6 on your phone should unmute if you're able to do that.
Okay. And drop an email there just in case the line has dropped or anything. So
yeah, perfect.
And we have Christina back.
We have Christina back as well.
Yeah, just to let Christina know that she can use the *6 combination on her phone pad to unmute. Hopefully that was unmute there.
So hopefully we've got Philip and Christina with us, and if you didn't get that there, just *6 will unmute on your keypad on your phone. Very good. I think that's. Do I have? Yeah. Very good. Was that Christina, was it? I think we're having problems with the line connection here because I think we've dropped one of our guests at the moment. So what we might do is we'll just
put
switch
that down
things.
To the storm, Jude, will we?
I tell you what, yeah, the storm is playing havoc already, and it feels extra surreal when you are sitting here looking out the window and it's not doing anything out in Mayo yet. But we're in for it later on, I think. What we might do is just switch around the subjects in the show a little bit then, and hopefully we'll come back to Philip and Christina if we can get them back on the line in a moment. Maybe we can just start with SuperSense AI. And Daniel is going to take us through some of the information on SuperSense AI. Now, as we said earlier, there's sort of some similarities with some of the other apps that are available on smartphones. Daniel, tell us a little bit about the similarities with SuperSense AI.
Okay, so existing users of, let's say, Seeing AI that are on the iPhone, iPad platform, and you also have Google Lookout that's on obviously the Android platform, and to a certain extent as well you have Envision AI. So these apps are around a while, and another one on the scene that's gaining popularity is an app called SuperSense AI. Now, I suppose to be fair, all these apps do quite similar work, but one thing I liked about SuperSense AI was that you can, you go in and it's set to read automatically, so start reading text.
Yeah.
I suppose I just go through all the features. Like it'll detect whether you're trying to read a piece of text, a document, a currency, or a barcode. Now that will be the currency and the barcode will come in with. There's a premium version of it. It also has multiple page scan, again another premium feature. But I suppose for the somebody wanted to try it out, and they can try it out free, and they have unlimited access to the free functionalities. So
yeah,
you don't have to subscribe to it, but if you just want these more features, you would. And I'll just mention now, I suppose, in case I forget, that when you visit SuperSense .app, right, this is their website. So I like the new extension here, .app. They're having a sale until the end of the year, so they give you 40% off an annual subscription. Good. And 50% off the lifetime subscription. So, and I think the I think it's €99 or $99 or something like that for the lifetime subscription. So it's all that information is available there on the website. Now, yeah. So as I said, it'll detect what you're trying to do. There's also on the app, the layout is very, very simple, right? So when you go in on the app, there's read, explore, and find. Now, the find is a novel thing. This is particularly the feature I think is class.
So is this kind of where it's a bit separate from some of the other apps that are out there? This is the more kind of distinctive feature, if you like.
Absolutely. So this is what I suppose sets this app apart from Seeing AI and Google Lookout. So when you go into the find section, right? So you have 3 sections: read, explore, and find. When you go into find, you can look for a person, a seat, a door, stairs, trash can, vehicle, bathroom, kitchen, cups and bottles. Will I stay going? Utensils, bags, and look, there's tons of stuff. Even animals, you know, so if you're looking where the dog is, so it looks basically, depending on what you say you're looking for, it'll try and, you know, use the viewfinder of the camera that's on your smartphone or your smart tablet to locate those objects for you, and depending on what way you're facing, then if it comes into view, it'll alert you that the object you're looking for is within view. There's also a search function that you can manually type in what it is you're looking for at the bottom of the screen there. So when you scroll down or navigate down, you can get there. You know, traffic lights are on there, which I think is a very, very good thing to have. You know, so we're bringing in a little bit of the mobility as well. You know, when you're out and about, buildings and trees. You know, they're in there too as well. So it's not just for indoor use in that find section. The explore section, then that'll just if it can detect any kind of item in view, it'll, you know, briefly describe the surroundings to you. So, you know, you're at home on the couch, and, you know, it'll announce the coffee table maybe is in front of you. The TV is there on the wall or in the corner unit with pictures on the wall. So it'll describe your surroundings reasonably well. So these are the functionalities of this particular app.
And how have you found it, just in the kind of the bit of a trial that you've done with it? Is it relatively accurate?
Relatively.
So, for example, if you're looking for a door, show you a door.
Yeah, it is reasonably accurate. Like, it's not, technology is never going to be 100% at the moment. I suppose there's a lot more development in the AI field to be done, where things are getting more and more precise. But you have to say it's on its way to that destination. You can only imagine as the programmers behind the app get better and better, that you know, the detection of items is going to be better and better as well. So it's definitely, you know, it's on the right track, and you can see where this thing is going to get better and better over the years ahead.
Excellent, yeah.
Daniel, Joe here. It's very important to talk about the potential of the app. I suppose maybe when you're able to sync it with some sort of Apple glasses or something that come out in the future, that might be a big breaker. You know, that might break into people wearing wearables rather than pointing their phone at things. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a little bit of interference in the sound quality there, I think, but yeah, I think we got the key point there, Joe. It's
probably my Wi-Fi today mightn't be the best, but yeah, I was just saying, yeah, the potential of the product could be worth thinking about. I suppose there's a rumor about Apple glasses coming out and stuff like that. So if you could sync it with Apple glasses and things like that, I'm sure these products are open to ideas like that, and wearing a product rather than pointing your phone at things could be way more convenient going down the line, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So overall, you think this SuperSense AI, it's worth a look?
It's definitely worth a look. You know, I'll also say as well, there's another feature on it that I failed to mention there, was that you can import PDF files into the app, and you can explore the text from the images, you know, and it'll try and read what's in the images or describe the images to you as well. So that's a very interesting function. You know, I suppose maybe if you had a bog standard PDF that, you know, wasn't made accessible, and, you know, there's lots of pictures in it, it'll try and decipher what those pictures are on it. So it's, in effect, it's trying to create its own alt text for you know, what we know as alt text for the images.
It's interesting.
Is there anywhere it
Go on,
sorry,
Joe.
Jude, for going. Is there anywhere it wins over its competitors, like seeing AI or anything? Is there anything different, as in any reason someone might get this or subscribe to this over another product?
Well, it'll work on Apple or Google, so it's multi-platform in that sense. Secondly, I think it's the fact that it'll automatically detect whether there's text or a barcode or a document or whatever. On the Google Lookout and on the Seeing AI, you kind of had to go in and check those channels first. You know, you'd hit navigate and select whether it was a document you're going to point it at, or whether it was just maybe a sign post or a poster on a wall. You know, the fact that this will pick it up. You know, say as you're browsing through the channels now. I know the Seeing AI, you can put Siri shortcuts, so you can just ask Siri to recognize a document or recognize the barcode. But with this, when you go in, whatever's in view of the camera, it's working on it straight away. So there's no setting up of it, in a sense. Very
good. Excellent. Well, it's a good overview anyway. It gives us a sense of what SuperSense AI does, and it certainly sounds like it's well worth a look for people. So thanks for taking us through that overview, Daniel. Appreciate that, and sorry for moving that up, maybe catching you by surprise a little bit there, but hopefully
you're grand.
Hopefully, I think people have got. I suppose
it's worth to mention as well. Anyone with the higher end iPhones with the Super LiDAR is the sister app to SuperSense. That's available as well.
Very good.
So it's worth maybe. It's worth maybe looking into that if you have the more up-to-date iPhone. And I'll just run through the subscription plans for SuperSense. Is per month it's $5 per year it's $49 or lifetime it's $99. As I say, on their website at the moment they're offering 50% off all those packages. So if somebody was maybe to try it and, you know, wanted to get a bit of a bargain, you could try it and maybe decide by the end of the month whether they wanted to keep it.
Brilliant. Very good. Well, thanks for taking us through that, Daniel. Appreciate that, and great timing for that as well when there's a bit of a discount on it at the moment. So appreciate you going through that. Indeed. So we're going to return now to our main subject, and hopefully we're able to have Philip and Christina with us. Do we have you there, Philip? Not hearing anything through there.
Hello. Can you hear us? We both are there. Can you hear us?
Very good. Good, we can hear you now. Yeah, excellent. I'm so relieved to hear your voice.
Yeah, finally it was quite tough for us. We were struggling getting in, but finally we are here. So thank you for the invitation.
Really glad you could join us. Really happy that you could join us. So maybe just to start us off, and probably to get to the point fairly quickly, I suppose, just in case there's any other issues with the line that we have. Maybe just start us off to set up the Blind Shell Classic 2. Tell us a little bit about the original Blind Shell Classic.
Okay, so maybe just start with a short presentation. I'm Philip, and I'm the sales manager here in Blind Shell. And together with me, we have Christina, who is responsible for marketing and PR activities. And we launched the original Classic. Today we call it Classic 1 to distinguish between the two models. So the Classic 1 was launched in 2018 and was on the or has been on the market for 3 years now. It was a very successful, it has been a very successful model. Implementing many of our customers' wishes and suggestions, but unfortunately we were kind of limited with the hardware possibilities that the Classic 1 provided, and that was the main reason why we decided after these 3 years to launch a brand new model, Classic 2, which is based on a very similar let's say software part, because it's the user interface is pretty much the same, but what is very new is the completely rebuilt hardware, which is 100% designed by us, by our company, and we cooperated with the designer studio, and on the other hand, we were in very close touch and relation with the Czech Blind organization here in Prague, the biggest blind association in the Czech Republic. And thanks to these guys, I can frankly say that we have developed the best mobile phone that is specially dedicated to the blind and visually impaired on the current market. So we really consulted every little inch, every little piece of that hardware, having the experience with the previous model, so we knew exactly what to focus on, what were the weak points of the previous device, and we really put our focus on these points, make it much better, the Classic 2.
Well, that's brilliant straight away, because I know that the original Blind Shell was quite a popular phone, so it's great when there's the upgrades. Talk to us a little bit about some of the changes. So you mentioned the redesign, even the physical components, but maybe could we start with just even a bit of a physical description of some of the physical differences with the Blind Shell Classic 2?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can describe the main changes in the Blind Shell Classic 2, and it is, as Philip already said, it is the hardware, which is completely designed by us. It has great tactile keypad, and it's really brand new design. It has also really loud speaker, which was one of the weak parts of the older model. It has also long life battery and really great camera, which has 13 megapixels. It is a huge difference from the first model. And from the software side, you can finally use WhatsApp on Blind Shell Classic 2 and use Facebook Messenger. And there is also many assistive tools. And a huge difference is a Blind Shell app catalog, which is something like, you can imagine it like a app store, where you can choose new apps, Blind Shell apps, and also third-party apps, which you can add into the phone. So these are the biggest differences between those two models.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. And just when you talk about the changes in the buttons on the phone, I know that the keypad is changed around a little bit to make sure that the keypad buttons are a little bit more tactile and a bit more obvious, I suppose. There's a couple of other button changes as well, is there? So, for example, the volume buttons or the programmable button that's available there, that's new to the Blind Shell too, is it?
Yeah, there are. As we mentioned, the hardware is completely redesigned, and for the first time, we really produced a device which is dedicated to the blind and to the visually impaired users as a whole product. Because up to now, all of our previous models were based on a ready-made hardware, which was produced by a different producer, and we implemented only the software part. But with the Classic 2, this has changed, because we produced the device as a whole, not only the software part, but also the hardware part, which is the main difference. So we really consulted every little piece on that phone. Every little detail was very carefully consulted with the blind users from the Czech organization of the visually impaired and the blind, and we discussed the details like the shape of the buttons, the size of the buttons, or the distance between the buttons, and or how much pressure the user has to press in order to really press the button. So the navigation buttons, they all have different shapes, also different color for the visually impaired. We have dedicated dedicated buttons for volume control and for voice control, which is very popular. The dedicated button for voice control can also be used to easily access the favorite menu. So you can if you use some apps or features very often, you no longer have to scroll down the menu and look it up in the menu and submenu. You just put it into the favorite menu, and you can access them very easily by just pressing a dedicated button. So, yeah, I would like to stress out the main 3 points that we were really focusing on. Where when transferring from the Classic 1 to the Classic 2, having the experience about the weaknesses of the previous model. So we focused very much on the sound quality on the speaker, which is now placed on the front side of the phone, directing towards the user, not on the back side as it was on the Classic 1. And the sound is much more, let's say, clear, bright, and the speaker is much stronger. So you can now use it as a Bluetooth speaker in a smaller room, and it's absolutely okay. The other thing that we really focused on is the tactility, which has improved a lot. And the third main point is the battery life. We are using a battery which is 3,000 milliampere hours. Which is compared to 1,800 milliampere hours in the Classic 1. So we almost doubled the size of the battery life here in Classic 2. And from the software point, I would just repeat what Christina mentioned about the app catalog, because on Classic 1 we had a setup of apps and features, and when a new feature or new app was implemented, a global update was issued. So all users using BlindShell around the world just downloaded that update and had the new feature or the new app installed in their phone. Now we changed the philosophy a little bit. So now we created this app catalog. So we are no longer pushing our users into having all of the newly implemented apps and features in their phone, because all the newly implemented features and apps are put into the app catalog for optional download. So it's up to the user if he or she wants to download the app and use it or not, and just keep it in the app catalog.
Very good.
So this is the main difference.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. We're actually already getting a couple of questions in. We might just ask JP, what are some of the questions coming in?
Thank you, Jude. So we have 2 questions that have come in just a moment ago, Philip, that you might be able to help with there. One is regarding the keypad. Is it a numeric keypad or a QWERTY keypad? Is asked by Aaron.
The layout of the keypad remains the same as on Classic 1. So we have standard numeric keypad, numbers 1, 2, 3 to 9 and to 0, with the star key in the left bottom corner and the hash key in the right bottom corner, and with letters with a standard layout, ABC on the number 2, D, E, F on number 3, etc., etc.
Great, thanks a lot. And the second question is regarding cost of the BlindShell Classic 2. So perhaps you could give us an indication, if you don't mind.
Yes, the price, the end user price, the recommended, let's put it this way, the recommended retail price is €449. In Ireland, you can of course purchase the phone at the NCBI eShop. And just to give you an idea of what's all included in the box, because I think this is very important to mention. So apart from the mobile phone and the battery, you can also find, of course, the wall charger and the USB-C cable. Now we are using USB-C instead of micro USB on the Classic 1. And another accessory that is included in the box is the charging cradle, the lanyard, earphones, and 3 NFC tags. We are now using the NFC technology for object tagging instead of the QR codes that we used on the Classic 1. So I think it's much more comfortable for the user to tag objects with just sticking the NFC sticker to the object, and you no longer have to use the camera to find the QR code as it was before. You just place the phone nearby the sticker, and it will tell you the message that is either recorded or typed as a description of the object.
Brilliant.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks
very
very much
good.
for that. That's very handy. Yeah. Great.
Excellent.
Thank
And
you.
that's quite an interesting change as well, just going to the NFC tags instead of the previous QR ones. It does make it a little bit easier. Tell us a bit, is there also beepers with the Blind Shell Classic 2?
Yeah, Blind Shell Beep. It's a quite popular accessory. You can also purchase this accessory, and it works like it helps you to find your belongings. You just pair the beeper with the phone. You can name it like keys, and then you put the beeper on your keys. And when you want to find the keys, you use the phone, and the beeper starts to ring only by pressing the button on the phone.
Brilliant. Yeah. So that's like a little kind of physical tag that, so for example, if I had a set of keys that I keep misplacing, I could put one of these physical tags on it, and from my phone, I can make that physical tag make a noise or make a beep.
Correct. It works like Bluetooth locator.
Brilliant. Yeah, very good. That's a really handy addition to it as well. Just, I know we were talking before about possibly doing a couple of demonstrations. It might not be so possible at the moment, just because the issues connecting the video stream to our live event. I don't know if there's ones that you would be happy to demonstrate just audibly.
Well, we would love to, but we are now connected through the mobile phone as we had some difficulties to get here. Yeah, so I'm not sure if we can do it technically. I'm not sure if we can do it at the moment.
No problem. No problem. That's fine. And I'm sure we can revisit the Blind Shell 2 anyway at some point in one of our future shows and give a couple of demonstrations. But it's good to get the features. Very good.
We'd love to make it. We like the technical background here at the moment to get there to demonstrate the video. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Jude, can I ask a question?
Work away.
Yeah. You ask Christina there. Is it possible to watch YouTube videos on the Blind Shell Classic 2?
Yeah, of course, it is possible. The YouTube is part of the apps in the phone, and you can watch whatever on YouTube. It's no problem.
Okay, that was a question that came in from one of my service users. Thanks so much.
Excellent.
You're welcome.
Very good. And just in general, just the internet usage on the Blind Shell 2.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question now.
No problem. Just in general, just for internet usage on the Blind Shell 2, is it possible to browse the internet on the Blind Shell 2?
Yeah, sure. There's a web browser included in the app, so you can browse the web. And one more, we are now using screen reader, so we are adding more and more applications. So thanks to the screen reader. Sorry, it's quite difficult for me to pronounce these two words together. But that's the one of the biggest difference between the Classic 1 and Classic 2, because in Classic 1 all of the apps were implemented into the standard Blind Shell environment. They all look the same, and the user had hardly any idea that he or she is using he's using a third-party application, because in the phone all of the apps, either you were using email client or Telegram or YouTube, it all had that white text on the black background, or other combination if you like, but you had no idea that you are in fact using a third-party application. Here on the Classic 2, we are using the screen reader, so it's much more easy and flexible. We are more flexible in adding new applications because we are adding them into the app catalog the way they are. They are standard Android apps that are accessible thanks to the screen reader. But so we are no longer using the Blind Shell design, Blind Shell environment for all of the apps that are available in the phone.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, very good. So it's interesting just to hear some of those feature updates for the Blind Shell Classic 2. Could I just ask before we finish up here, just what would you feel are the key changes that will really make a big difference? Let's say somebody already has the Blind Shell phone and they're kind of open to upgrading. What do you feel is the key difference that might make a key difference to somebody who's vision impaired?
One of these key differences is definitely WhatsApp, because WhatsApp was the most requested apps, and now it's in the phone, and everyone who is online, who is connected to the internet, can use the WhatsApp. So this is definitely one of the most popular things which is now available in Blind Shell Classic 2.
Excellent.
As a second point, I would definitely mention the hardware as a whole. This is a very big step ahead, really. The quality of the hardware is much more, let's say, solid, stable, and mainly the sound coming out of it is way better than on the Classic 1, and also the tactility. And the third one, I would say, the app catalog, or maybe the apps in general, that we are now able to use much more apps, and much more apps are to come also to be implemented for future. We still keep collecting feedbacks and suggestions and tips from our business partners and customers all over the world. So many more apps will come very soon.
Brilliant.
To the app
Yeah,
catalog.
very good. And we're looking forward to getting feedback from anybody who does have the Blind Shell too, just on those updates as well.
We just have one more question that's come in there as well, Judy. Philip or Christina might be able to help it. It is from Aaron. He's asking, is reading and composing within an Outlook app possible in the Blind Shell 2?
I'm not sure if we got the question correctly. Could you repeat that, please?
Of course. So he's asking, Philip, is reading and composing within an Outlook app possible? So the Outlook app, so your email client, is that possible? Is it possible to read and compose?
At the moment, we don't have the Outlook email available. We have our own email client application, which is the same as it was in the Classic 1. And to be honest, we haven't. I'm not sure if we have received a suggestion on implementing an Outlook as an email client.
Okay. Perhaps now. The other thing I'm just asking, or want to let our listeners know, is that the prices which I have now. I think we had a query in earlier about pricing. The Blind Shell Classic is being sold at the moment by NCBI. It's €273.06, including VAT. And the Blind Shell Classic Lite, so that's without the voice control, €221.40, and the Blind Shell Classic 2, $479.70, including VAT. The VAT is always, of course, is reclaimable. And if anyone wanted a demonstration, they can give us a call or email labs, and we can set that up.
I suppose I've just a quick question extra, I suppose, and just following on from Oren's question about the Outlook app. I suppose, would the native Blind Shell 2 Classic email app work with an Outlook.com or a Hotmail address?
Yes, it works with all of the worldwide mainly used email providers.
Oh, so Gmail and all those as well?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Perfect.
Brilliant. Very good. Well, it's certainly good to get the overview of some of the updates and upgrades to the Blind Shell Classic. And if it's any way as popular as the original Blind Shell Classic, I'm sure it'll be well received indeed. So thank you very much for taking us through those features, Philip and Christina. Good to have you with us on the show, and maybe we can get you back sometime next year as well.
Definitely. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much for invitation and giving us the opportunity to talk a little bit about our newborn baby, as we call it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we look forward to chatting to you in future. And I'm sure we'll have some good feedback as well from service users who might purchase the Blind Shell 2. Anybody who does have the Blind Shell Classic 2, if you want to let us know your feedback as well, we always appreciate that. So really good upgrades there that were covered there. So our thanks to Philip and Christina, and we look forward to hearing from them next year as well. Maybe I can just ask our panel here, our NCBI panel, just on the back of that discussion, any of the particular features that we covered there that you're particularly kind of looking forward to yourselves, or that you feel are going to make a big difference?
Yeah, I think the hardware he was talking about will make a big difference, because I've got some feedback already that the phone feels a lot better. The buttons are more tactile. They seem sturdier. One or two issues with button sticking in the past, so I think all them little issues are going to be ironed out, and the hardware will make a big difference. Obviously, WhatsApp is a major plus for people.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, the quality of the speaker as well on the phone makes a big difference as well for people. So yeah, I think them couple of features, the physical features and just what Christina spoke about there.
Yeah, brilliant, very good.
Yeah, just based on some of the demonstrations I provided to some service users already, the two things of note. Joe mentioned WhatsApp. That's going to be a deal breaker for some people who have the original Blind Shell, and they were debating, well, is it worthwhile upgrading? I think Blind Shell has made the difference for them to upgrade. And the second thing is that people who have had the Blind Shell Classic, the original one, they feel that it's definitely more robust in their hands, the Blind Shell 2. It's more sturdy, so for that's a second reason. But I think Blind Shell though is a bit of a game changer for some people to be able to access family or friends chats. Yeah, I think that's
One big improvement I found, lads, was the fact that they've gone from the micro USB charger over to the USB-C charger.
Yeah.
So you have this reversible charger now. You're not liable, I suppose, to be damaging either the tip of the charging cable or the port itself within the phone. It's much more it's much more modern and easy to use and easy fitting and all that. So it's very, it's up there now, I suppose, with the mainstream smartphones from a charging point of view. The battery being bigger as well, like I know it's a kind of a bigger cake and you'll eat more of it, but the fact you have a larger battery means you're getting longer time out of it. But then, I suppose, with the extra features on the phone, are you going to have it in your hand a little bit more and be using it, and obviously eating into that longer battery life? It's probably a bit of a catch-22.
Yeah.
But maybe for someone who just maybe wants to, they might only get the odd WhatsApp message or something, or they're not going to be browsing too much on it. The increase in battery is going to be noticeable. But I suppose if somebody's maybe a moderate user of WhatsApp and they're constantly in on it, they mightn't notice any major gains
kind of counterbalance it. Yeah. And I think even just the feedback, just even about the simple things of the keypad layout and the shape of the buttons, the distance between the buttons and things like that can make such a difference. Just sort of seemingly small changes if you're describing the design difference, but it can make a big difference.
Yeah, and I suppose you're dead right, Jude. And I think that's probably often overlooked is how does it actually feel in your hand? You have this device in your hand. It's going to feel very comfortable. I know from it's the first thing you notice when I took it out of the box for the first time, seeing it. Wow, you're saying, right, okay, it's a slight bit heavier than the one, but like it feels solid and it's all there.
Yeah.
And as well, then for anyone that's in the applications, like the fact that they have their own kind of app catalog or place, I know it's not the Play Store, but the guys there, Philip and Christina, they'll be adding in more apps as they can make them available for it as well. So there's a future in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So look forward to getting the feedback from service users with that as well, for anybody who goes ahead and gets the Blind Shell Classic 2. I think it'll be quite an interesting one to revisit as well next year, just get some more of the feedback. So that was the Blind Shell Classic 2. Good to hear about some of those upgrades, and some quite powerful ones, things that really could make quite a difference for people as well. So what we'll do now, I think we've kind of rejigged the order of the show a little bit today, but let's go into our tech help next. And I think we've got a couple of questions actually came in this week that maybe we can give a little bit of a hand for answering in our tech help section. So the first comes from Aidan, and it's actually to do with the Blind Shell phone, funnily enough. He seems to have accidentally gone into simplified mode and can't get out of it. So what can you tell us about that, JP?
Yeah. So Aidan has said in the queries, he's only access to 5 menu items, and anyone who's using the Blind Shell will know that there's 9 menu items in total that should display it if the user wants. Now they're a little bit unsure as to what happened. Maybe something inadvertently was disabled, and it was. They tried restarting their phone several times, tried taking out the battery to no avail. So what happened was that they had inadvertently enabled simplified mode or easy mode, and that's where all the advanced functions of the phone are hidden. So only a very basic set of functions are available, and this could be handy for some people. So the functions available then will become call, messages, contacts, and missed events, and turned off the phone. So missing will be things like applications, and actually settings is no longer displayed as well in simplified mode. So that's a question, then how do we turn off simplified mode when settings is no longer displayed? And to do that, sorry, maybe go back a step. To enable simplified mode before we go on to disabling it, we can go into settings, go into phone menu mode, and then go to simplified mode or easy mode. That's how we can enable simplified mode. But then to disable it, what we need to do is to dial hash 3 times on the phone and call that number. So you're dialing hash 3 times and pressing the call button. That will then activate full mode again. One thing, it's very handy. One thing to note is that voice calling is automatically disabled in simplified mode. So that's when you long press either the volume keys on the Blind Shell Classic, and that will activate voice calling. So that won't work. However, voice dictation in text messaging is still going to work. But simplified mode is certainly a very handy feature for someone who maybe wants to use their Blind Shell primarily for calling and texting and not much more, keeping it very simple. Simple user interface.
And it's often the case that it's kind of you enter into a particular mode, and it's actually getting out of it is the thing that you want to be just sure of how you can do that. So handy to have that.
Exactly.
Bit of information. And actually that kind of ties in with the second one of our questions that came in, because it's kind of a similar sort of thing. The second one comes in from Kevin, who usually uses the screen curtain on his phone, but at times he might need to show his phone screen to others. I guess things like the COVID cert, showing the COVID cert would be one of those sort of situations where you need to show your phone screen. What's the quickest way to turn that off? Daniel, could we check in with yourself?
Yes, Kevin was on to us yesterday, so he had run into a little pickle where he's a voiceover user on the iPhone, and he'd screen curtain going. He's in a shop, and I think he was just maybe trying to show an order number or something that had come through. For picking up items. So, and went to show his phone to the store clerk behind the counter, and the phone was black, and he was unsure of how to take off the screen curtain. So I suppose there's 2 ways of doing this. If you're good at doing the gestures on the phone, it's the tips. Put 3 fingers, the tips of your 3 fingers, tap them off the surface of the phone 3 times. And VoiceOver should announce then screen curtain off. And obviously to turn it back on is the exact same procedure. So back out with 3 fingertips again, tap the surface of the phone 3 times, and your VoiceOver will announce screen curtain back on for you. Now, if it's something that you wanted to do even a bit quicker, and maybe the environment was quieter, you could ask Siri to turn off VoiceOver. It'll automatically turn off your screen curtain as well. It might be handy if you maybe wanted to give your phones to somebody just for a moment or two, just to browse around an email or scroll up or down the screen, maybe to locate the barcode or something that's on the screen. And obviously when they hand the phone back to you, you can invoke Siri again to turn back on VoiceOver, and you're back into your all familiar system again, with the screen curtain back on automatically as well. So 2 ways to skin the one cat.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. So that's handy. And again, it's that same sort of situation really. You get into a mode and you use that mode most regularly, and then you've used it for so long that you forget how to get out of it. So it's handy to have a reminder of that.
Exactly.
Very good. So that's our tech help for this week, and hopefully that's helped Aidan and Kevin out there with those 2 questions. So just to finish off our live event, both for today and for this season of our live events, we just want to take a little bit of time to go back through some of the highlights of the live events, and we've just asked some of our panel just to maybe take one highlight each, just particular things that they enjoyed throughout the year, and that might kind of bring back some of those pieces to our memory, if there's any of them that you want to check out yourselves, or if you've missed any of our live events through the year. These were some of the ones that our panel found quite interesting anyway. Maybe can we come to yourself first, Joe?
Yes.
What did you find was a particular favourite of yours through the year?
Well, of course, Jude, any of the shows I was on was my favourite.
I knew it. And you know what? You've set yourself up now, so that if the next thing that you say is one that you were on, we know that's true.
I'll have to pick one of them, won't I? Yeah, so I really enjoyed the HomePod Mini, the Apple HomePod Mini.
Yes.
It's new, well, relatively new smart speaker to the market, especially for Apple fans. So if you're in the Apple ecosystem, it's a great smart speaker for you to connect to your iPhone, especially for playing music, because it sounds great. But one of the big pluses was you could make hands-free phone calls and send hands-free text and WhatsApp messages on the speaker itself. And there's obviously loads of other things you can do with it, like connect to your smart home devices around your house, like light bulbs, heating systems, your smart Hoover, whatever you, smart home devices you actually have in your possession. So that was one of my highlights.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. Maybe if we go on to JP as well, what was your highlight of the year?
Thanks for that, Jude. So yeah, my highlight actually goes all the way back to, I think it was January. We had a live event, and there were obviously some great guests we had on throughout the year. From Microsoft, we had CAI app developer on, even NASA technician. Was like lots of great guests on. I think for me, though, it's an interesting one. Perhaps the most topical one as well was actually on cybersecurity and staying safe online. This is it was live event number 29. It's back in January, as I mentioned. And who wants to have a listen to that one. And it happens we were also joined by Sean from Meet the Team. So it was an added bonus. But yeah, I think it's an area.
How could that not be somebody's highlight?
Yeah, of course. That just swings it, doesn't it? Like, so yeah, I mean, I think it's an area everyone has been exposed to at some point in time, and will be exposed to again. Be it your spam texts, calls, phishing emails. And it's all the more, I think, in lieu of COVID. I was actually having a look at some kind of startling kind of figures there. Like last week, Grant Thornton produced a report saying that there's a 50% increase in online crime in Ireland since COVID started. With cybercrime, I think it was 9.6 billion last year alone. So that's comparison. The last time they produced that report was 2014, and it cost 630 million. So you can see the stark increase there. And it's, people are obviously more exposed to these attacks because in lieu of COVID, there are people who are coming across by email, spam texts, and so on. And of course, we had an event then in May as a follow-on where we had a look at the ransomware attack on the HSE's IT systems that led to, as you know, the widespread disruption of patient service and everything that happened there with that. So but
you forget all that's happened this year, don't you?
Absolutely, So returning back to the event in January, we had Martin O'Sullivan, joining us. So he is a cybersecurity analyst who works with IBM. He gave us some great advice about how we can protect our digital footprint, stay safe online. So for example, what we should do when we receive a suspicious call or a text, choosing a safe password for your email, other accounts. But I think perhaps one of the most interesting kind of take-homes I got from the interview, I think you were speaking with Martin for about a half hour or so. It was interesting. And he suggested checking out a website, which I did do after the show. It's Have I Been Pawned, and that's PWNED, www.haveibeenpawned, pwned.com. And this site lets you enter your mobile address, all very safe, your mobile number or your email address, to check whether your data has been compromised. A data breach. A breach is where it's an incident where you've unintentionally exposed your data to the public. So it's interesting. I'd say if anyone's tried it out, I've tried it out myself, and it certainly gives you kind of food for thought. If you want to try that,
eye opener, isn't it?
It certainly is. Yeah, it certainly is. So, and then what it does is, if it does realize or recognize rather that you've been involved in a data breach, then it gives you tips on how to protect yourself from such breaches in the future and stay safe online. So yeah, so that live event stood out for me, and hopefully we can draw upon Martin's expertise and experience in that area in another show next year.
Yeah, it's definitely worth revisiting that one, because I think the practical tips are just so good.
There, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very good. How about yourself, Daniel?
Right there, I was just checking to see have I been pawned? Something to do really quick. Apparently, somebody somewhere got my number off of Facebook. Anyways,
very good. I did try it. My mobile number. I didn't show any results, but I did try it with my personal address, and it said that was involved in data breach in 2018 with MyFitnessPal. So that's like a diet and exercise service, and it said that. Yep, same for me. So it was exposed 144 million unique email addresses, IP addresses and passwords, and then the following year the data was listed for sale on the dark web. So you have no idea this is happening, but it's interesting. But then that's all followed by tips on how to better protect yourself and stay safe online. So worth checking out at that site.
Yeah. And even if, to be honest, even having gone through that ourselves and kind of looked at and been kind of involved in getting that presented on the live event and everything, it's well worth going back to and revisiting it again, because you tend to, so many of the little mistakes that you tend to make again.
Exactly.
The dark web, that sounds terrible.
The dark web.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel, what was your highlight of the year?
I suppose we just recent when we had the guys over from Mid-Air, and I thought it was a right bit of crack in a banter with Evelyn that day.
Yeah.
I knew you'd say that, Daniel.
If Joe was going to select one, he was on. Daniel was definitely going to select a weather one.
Yeah, exactly. And I know, we did have a good discussion with the guys about their app and their podcast and everything, and all the different things that are available, and how Mid-Air have worked to make their forecasts more accessible and available. But at the same time, we had a good chat and a banter about everyday weather things as well. So it was the best of both worlds. For me, Evelyn was very, very funny. Well worth, I suppose, listening back on that one. Even just to put yourself in good mood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the weather outside won't.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really timely reminder as well today, to be able to look back on. If everybody isn't sick of the weather, just look back and listen to that live event as well. That was a good one. I thought that actually just the variety of what was covered this year was probably a big highlight for me. I mean, even just in the ones that you've chosen there, they're all so vastly different from each other, and that's kind of without even getting onto some of the. I mean, personally, I thought the Soundscape release was a brilliant one. I really enjoyed that, and because it's such I suppose a game changer as well. But to be able to actually be there right at the start of that, and we've already spoken about that on the live event before it was actually released in Ireland as well. So I really enjoyed that, and being able to see the difference that could make, and as well as some of the interviews that we've had. Daniel mentioned Evelyn Cusack there, and to be honest, even able to have the likes of Glenn Gordon talking to us about the kind of the formative years of Jaws. I just find that really fascinating as well. I really enjoyed some of the interviews. It was something that was, I think there's been so much to talk about this year. I think even when JP was mentioning there the HSE attacks and the cyber attacks on HSE, you'd nearly forget, and it was only a few months ago that those sort of things happened. So huge amounts for us.
We'll never forget. We're still getting those text messages from somewhere. I think tells me my delivery has gone missing. Please enter on this link.
Oh yeah.
Or people pretending they're the bank, and it goes into my bank thread of messages, and then they're the ones that really fool people, I think. So be careful. If you get something from one of the big banks and it goes into your thread of messages, it generally treble check it before you enter any link.
Absolutely. And I think, I suppose, Jude, like the fact that 2020 and 2021, like they're nearly the twin years, and it feels like it was just one gigantic long year.
Yeah, it does.
Like there has been so much covered, because we were all we're all kind of pulled into this new way of delivering content and reaching out to our service users, and trying to meet with our service users through different channels. And it has been fantastic, the amount of stuff that we got together here on the live event over the last, it's nearly 2 years now at this stage. Has been fantastic, and it's hard to believe here we are at the end of year 2 of it.
Yeah, it's incredible. Two full seasons of live events, 60 different events, so many different subjects, so many different interviews with people who are really at the cutting edge of the industry as well. So it's been an incredible 2 years, and of course even just the input from the NCBI Labs team. It's been great to get such varied input throughout the NCBI Labs team. I think there's been a few reluctant stars of the Labs team. Ones who maybe weren't too overly keen on coming to a live kind of a podcast situation, and yet they shone completely. So that was great as well through the year, discovering a few new NCBI Labs stars. So that was great. Very good. Well, that just about wraps up our live event for today and for our second season. Just before we go, and we'll just mention a couple of changes in a second to some of our live events that are coming up. But just before we go, we'll mention our support lines. So just a reminder again that if you need technology assistance, you can get support from the Labs team from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday on 1800 911 110. Or you can email labs@ncbi.ie. Or if you want to avail of wider NCBI services, you can call 1850 33 43 53 or email info@ncbi.ie. And of course, we always appreciate your support of NCBI. If you'd like to make a donation to help support our services, you can do that through donate.ncbi.ie. So just finally, before we go, we'll mention a couple of the things that we're going to be talking about in future live events. We are going to be talking about World Braille Day, which is coming up in January. We're going to be talking about the Smart Hub. The NCBI Smart Hub project is nearing its conclusion, so we'll get an update on that. We're going to be talking about ad blockers, whether they're worth using, how to get the most out of those. And they're just some of the subjects that we've got lined up. We're also going to have a number of trainer reviews coming up. We're going to have a few different big debates coming up next year as well in our show. One of the biggest things that's going to change is we're going to be just changing the format a little bit, I suppose, of our show. We're going to be also given a new name. So we're going to be, instead of just the NCBI Labs live event, we're going to be talking technology with NCBI Labs from next year. So just a reminder that our next live event is Tuesday, January 4th at 2:30 p.m. That'll be a little bit of a standalone event in that it's World Braille Day that day. So we're going to kind of hand over the live event really to cover a lot of information on World Braille Day. And then we'll be starting off with that kind of new format of talking technology with NCBI Labs on our following show. If you want to stay up to date with what's happening on our live events on our podcast as well, then please do subscribe to our newsletter on our website. There's plenty more in that as well, of course. Or you can email us at labs@ncbi.ie if you'd like to do that. So all that's left for me to do is to thank our guests today, Philip and Christina, and of course thanks to Joe Lonergan, our regular guest, and thanks to all of our guests throughout this year. Thanks to you, our listeners as well, throughout the year for supporting NCBI Labs, the live events here. And from Daniel, JP and myself, goodbye for now, and we look forward to having you back with us next year for another NCBI Labs live event.